not in the right mode. But as long as everybody can see.
Okay, the Hangout is live. I'm introducing Joe Moss today. He's speaking. He is our resident JSON schema expert. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip my computer around so we can see him, and he's sharing on a big screen TV. So I'll try to make it to where our non-attending audience can see it. Go ahead, Joe. Start talking, buddy.
Okay, I was actually, I'm going to go deeper into schema here in a minute, but I've heard a lot of stuff going around the table today. So I wanted to address something here. And the first thing is page load speed, okay? I think that we talked about this yesterday. So page load speed, everybody's like, oh, okay, I need to fix my page load speed. Well, if that's true, then you should fix your page load speed. Because Google does have a threshold, and they say, oh, you should be around the 85 if you can, or whatever. But what's more important than that is server response time. So your page, I've seen pages where they take 6-7 seconds to load, and one is at the top of the search, and the other one isn't, and there's not much difference between them, except for server response time, which is that initial handshake. So let me show. See. Unfortunately, I'm not sure if you can see this here, but you might want to do a little bit of work on the Circle Legal Trust page here. That was supposed to be.
If you guys go back a little bit. Well, that's blocking the screen.
Let's do
just put it all the way over to the right, Joe. That way you're not blocking the screen.
I can't because of the cord.
But we'll fix that right now. So much.
All right, now. Am I still blocking the screen?
There you go. That's perfect.
Okay. All right. So, so like I was saying here, the page load speed is very important. But what's more important, and there's a lot of research that's been done here by Kissmetrics and my own research and looking at over 50 sites and doing some comparisons. And what we found here is that clearly the server response time is one of the most important things as far as page load speed goes. So as long as, and prioritizing the visible content on the screen. So in other words, if your page is about auto accidents in Los Angeles, but all you're showing is a big, huge contact form on the top of your page, and they don't even know that they're on an attorney's website, and when you flip through and every single page is the same with that on there, that's a bad experience, and Google does pick that stuff up. So I just had to hit this topic. I had to, because it's so important. A lot of attorneys have great sites, great content. It's even siloed out perfectly, and their hierarchy's right. Their page structure is good, and then their page load speed sucks, and then they can't write. So I had to attack that first. And now we'll move into some schema. All right. So, so anyway, I assume that everybody here knows what structured data is, but for those of you who don't, it's basically language so computers can talk to each other and understand what is going on and what the content that's being transferred between them. So, of course, crawlers don't have eyes like people do. So basically, when you have your when you put structured data on your site, you're kind of giving eyes to crawlers, so they can say, okay, this is a blog page, and it's about car accidents, and it's specifically about rollovers, and here's the author, here's the image, blah, 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 and it gives you all this information. And then you show up nicely in search, and you can also, there's lots of things you can mark up, and you should mark up. Articles, videos, products, locations, your organization is critical, and let me go a little bit more into organizations here in a second, because for your location pages, first of all, you need to have this structured correctly. So you should have one landing page for locations, and let's say that you have 15 locations. So you have your main landing page. Then you'll have your, on that main landing page, you'll link out to each individual location page that has the structured data on that tells them, okay, here's the location, here's the hours, here's a map. Even though the map may not show, you can still mark it up, and as long as you link on there, then you're going to be doing a lot better. So there's a lot of stuff you can mark up. really, you should. And if you're not, you're losing out on some really good juice that you could potentially garner from doing that. Again, reviews are critical. I've been hearing reviews being talked about here for hours on hours. And the one thing that I only heard one person really talk about marking up those reviews. And that person wasn't even talking about, they were talking about using a service that brings it in marked up. Well, that's okay, but there's very few services that do that, and it usually costs an arm and a leg. So, and I'm a big proponent of owning your own data. So if you have lots of reviews, like I believe that you have a lot of reviews on your site, right? So the way they're doing it, that Nadrich is doing it, it's beautiful because they own their stuff. They mark it up themselves. When they show up and search with the stars, or somebody leaves a review, I might be thinking of ice cream. But when somebody leaves a review, you control that. But they say, hey, these guys suck, they're never in here, and they took 30% of my money, or whatever. Then you can control this kind of stuff, and you can limit that. And sometimes you might want to let one of those go through and respond to it. But I don't want to get into reviews here. I know about them, but it's not my strongest point. So anyway, I've also noticed here that a lot of attorneys, they'll have a lot of information on their homepage, right? And then near the footer, they'll have like some articles, recent articles, whatever that is. Everything that's on that page needs to be marked up, because if you don't, Google's going to think, okay, when it hits your homepage and all of a sudden you have these 3 articles at the bottom, Google thinks that's what your website is about. And since you're linking out from your homepage, you're diluting your most important juice out to some article that may be gone tomorrow, or it was probably, could have been some generic news article or something like that. So you really need to use the markup, and it will definitely work in your favor. There's a few different types out there, and Dan may be able to elaborate on this more than me. But there's JSON, there is the microdata, and then just the regular schema stuff. And depending on what you're marking up, that kind of determines what the best one to use. So for example, reviews, Google hasn't fully accepted JSON for marking up reviews, so in that case you want to use schema. Other things that are really important is, if you are marking something up and it does not show up on your page, you're setting yourself up for a penalty. And those penalties can be pretty severe. So if you're marking up your location, but there's no address on your page, you might not get blasted yet, but it is coming, and one day you will. So do it right. Follow the guidelines. They say mark up what you have on there, but if it's not on the page, don't mark it up. There's certain cases where you can do that. So for example, if on your home page you have your address, and let's say that you don't have your hours of operation because it's just you don't want it on the page, you can use a meta tag to do that and not have to display it to the public. But everything else about your company better be on that page. Is there any questions about that so far? The markup?
So with review schema, do you find there's a direct correlation between a Google review, a Yelp review, or someone just pulling out of the other? We've had really great luck specifically pulling off of Google.
Yeah. I know what we really work on is this knowledge graph, because it is so important. And what and I'm sorry that this is not an attorney site, but I didn't want to throw anybody under the bus, and I didn't want to call stuff out. But basically, with your reviews, they usually show up in this area of the knowledge graph, and you can get those same exact reviews to show up, even though they're on your site. So we always try to push our clients toward controlling their own reviews. If not, Google's going to put their reviews down there, or they'll pull them in from Yelp or other places. So
Google will put them in from Yelp?
They will pull them. Well, I don't know about Yelp, but Google Plus, they will definitely pull it in from your Google Business, My Business, stuff like that. So Google's going to infer information about your website and your company if you don't directly tell them. And even if you do directly tell them, there's a good chance that sometimes they may not listen. They do what they want to do, but we can at least give them some directives. And that's really how I see the markup. Now, a lot of attorneys, they're not really big enough to get, they don't have enough pages on the site to really get a site link search box, so this is not really relevant for this conversation. However, your logo is, because this is branding. And so if I'm looking for a personal injury attorney because I got in a car accident and my markup is not right, so I'm not branded, what's going to happen, and I believe you've all probably seen this before, is that your people also search for Wilshire Law Firm and Rosansky, and now all your competitors just showed up on your knowledge graph. So it's really important. What you see here, these little icons, that's a result of social media markup. It's just telling Google, here's all accounts. So Google puts that on there instead of people also search for. So this ends the line if you have your markup, and without your markup, your competitors get shown usually. I hope that makes sense. Is there any questions about that? So that alone is huge.
Good joke. In what you just described, for example, with Jeff and Dallas or Roche, it's not that they're looking for them, but Google has determined based upon their efforts authoritative
That's right.
in that area, and so Google's slapping them up on your site. It's not that they're searching for Wilshire or Jeff.
Well, it literally says down here that people also search for it.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
But you're right on,
Yeah.
and we'd rather not see them though.
No.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, Wilshire, they have done a relatively good job with their markup, but they still have errors in there, and a lot of the reason why they rank so well is just simply backlinks.
Yeah.
So it's not because their site is perfect or anything
Yeah.
like that. I just had to throw that out because everybody's always saying, well, look at Wilshire, they show up everywhere. Well, yeah, they do, but it doesn't mean they're doing it right. Be a leader, not a follower. Sorry, I should. Well, I'm not saying that we're not leaders here. We are leaders. That's why
We're both.
That's right. Run with the rest of the lions. So on your homepage markup, again, this is, it's critical. It's critical to have the proper markup on there, your social media markup, your logo, because, well, I believe I Googled Circle of Legal Trust, and the logo that comes up is only a partial logo. So implementing the markup on there, it's really going to, just pull that thing together and make your knowledge graph look right. Again, here, I think I put this picture in the wrong spot, but this is, a firm that we all know of here, and so you can get your own stars to come up here and this type of stuff in the search, and I don't know if you'll notice here, but these are not ratings pulled in from Yelp or Yellow Book or Yellow Pages or any other source. These are stars and reviews pulled in from this website. So you don't need to count. Well, yes, you do need to count on Yelp and Yext and all those because you need your naps correct. You need those citations and those backlinks, all the other stuff that everybody talks about who are much more experienced than I am with that. But you don't need that to show up with stars in the search. You need that for ranking. But you don't need that for the visual impact that you can get from search through your markup.
So what you're saying is the organic search results will show that result because you put a markup saying, I have 5 reviews.
That's right.
Okay, I just want to interpret that.
That's
Did you
right.
manufacture that?
I didn't hear you.
Did you manufacture that?
Yeah, they are manufactured, aren't they?
Well, I mean,
But if they're not
there
honest, you might get penalized. Right?
Yes, you have to be careful because Google does have manual reviews out there going on, especially when it comes to markup lately. They've been slapping people with penalties all over the place. So some of them are manual penalties. I mean, you don't want that. It's really hard to get out of it.
Joe, just so we understand, the 5 stars that you're showing us Is that the result of Google reflecting or collecting that David has 5 stars from outside reviews, or that David put a minimum of 5 5-star reviews on his homepage, marked it up in Google index it, and that's why you see it. Yes.
Do you
The
want
latter, not the former.
Okay, this was completely created on this web page. It has nothing to do with any other external sources. It was written in-house and marked up in-house, and it's just how it is.
If you actually look at the code on that specific page, you can see the schema that's wrapped around that review and that 5-star.
Right.
So,
You can manually input the stars.
yeah.
So you gave yourself a 5 stars.
That's right. We high-fived ourselves. That's exactly right.
You're saying that someone could just take the top 10 reviews and say these are,
That's right.
discount all the negative ones and say I'm a 5-star.
That's
Yeah,
it.
That's exactly
That's
what
it.
you're saying.
Right.
But you need to have it on your website, so you can't just go say that we have all these stars and not have any. You can't just put the markup without having it on your site. So you need to at least create it, and so it's physically viewable on your webpage.
Pull all your reviews across online, all the good ones.
No, I wouldn't
That's
pull
what I
it.
interpret. We can get you said.
Yeah. Can you elaborate first?
Can't grow them. You just type them up, put your
I
stars
can
on.
tell you right now how great you are.
Okay, so
That's crazy.
we can, so let's say all of us here, all of us will law firm. We could take, rather than have them write a Google review, a standard Google review, just have them write it to the homepage.
That's, well, not your home.
Control that.
I would have a reviews page.
Yeah,
and
review page
label it.
on the main site, whichever one
That's
is on the
right.
main site, and then we can.
And now you just became your own Yelp and your own Yext and all that. And when Google sees the markup on there, they're most likely going to use your reviews rather than
Likely,
Yext or
most
Yelp
likely.
and all that.
That doesn't mean you will.
That doesn't mean they will. No,
So they have a choice whether they use yours or your own. Is that what you're saying?
that's
If
right.
they choose to use theirs, then they choose to use it.
That's right. But they would only choose to use theirs if yours do not look legit, or you have errors in your markup, or something of that sort that just doesn't fit.
Okay, so you get a client to write the 5-star on your homepage of your webpage.
But you can write it.
Okay, or you can write it. Do you ask that same client now to go to Google and Yelp and write a review also?
Absolutely, man.
Okay.
I
So
get them
that's a
out.
bonus. There's no downside of them
That's a bonus.
writing on that and writing something. on your
As
page.
long as they don't duplicate the content,
Right.
as long as they don't cut and paste.
You can sit
Okay, right.
in front of the client and they're happy, so I'm very happy with you. If would you mind telling me your review and I'll dictate it, you write it down.
That's
on the
right.
website and that's it.
In fact, it's against Google's terms of service to duplicate that.
That's right.
So,
That's
So just to protect your rear, you just get a client side. Hey, this is what I said, so.
But another thing you can do, let's see, this is where we were going with, somebody else that's here actually, sure.
Well, is it different for mobile versus desktop in terms of what's going to show up?
Yes. It's much better on mobile
Yeah.
when it shows up. This is the lower end of what you actually can get out of it. So mobile, mobile it's going to help you tremendously on this. Can you elaborate on that? Do you want to?
just it's more density. I mean,
Yeah.
the markups are bigger. Just take up more space.
That's exactly right, man. And everybody's going mobile. So I don't know if you all, how much you all look at analytics every day.
You just know, especially if you're in a state with Hispanics.
Yes.
Hispanics are mobile oriented.
Right.
If you're in a border state, like a lot of us are in border states, that's huge.
That's right. That's right. By the way, Spanish is basically an untapped market.
Yeah.
So you got 30 minutes to say it.
Okay. Let me move right on here. Is there any questions about this? Oh, I was going to mention this. If you do create a reviews page or silo, I highly recommend that you do that. If you do that, you can also say, hey, see our reviews on Google Plus, and boom, now you just gave your Google Plus reviews link juice. So that's good. That's what you want. You want to link out to your other reviews on your main reviews page. Or
So they're
top
saying you
side.
cannot copy the Google reviews and put them on your reviews and on your site?
I wouldn't do that.
Let's take
That's
that.
a-
Yeah, those are fine.
Well, I think it's specifically on their terms of service.
Written thank you cards. Just take that.
Yeah.
Send you an email. Take
Yeah.
that.
We don't need it.
You know what else I've seen? That it's just Google gobbles up PDFs because they see them as a resource, right? So what we do is we take the review, we put it in the text, we turn it into a PDF, we do all kinds of stuff with it, and then we link out on that review. You can click and get the PDF and all this stuff, and all that stuff goes to sitemap. So you want to get ranking on your reviews page, start linking out to your own resources internally, like PDFs and images. Take an image with your client, put it on that review, link out to the PDF with the client's physical handwriting, type the thing out.
You just gave me a brilliant idea. We can't, that's difficult. Brilliant idea to do. Why don't we have the client, we just get clients to do narrative reviews, and it works for us. But why don't we, what about this is an idea? Have the client do the narrative review, and then take an image of the narrative review.
Or a
and both
video.
of them. What?
Or a video.
Well,
So do it just like a soundbite of the client saying, I love you?
Yeah,
do
or-
so much. No, wait, it has nothing to do with your client. He's saying take a video of the review itself.
Yes,
It
that's
has
what I'm
nothing to
saying.
do with your client.
So
All you
I,
do is you take the written review, you videotape it, and you.
I was,
Joe, I was thinking about just taking a snapshot and putting both up.
Well, absolutely. That's
You do the same thing with the video. All you do is take a video of the review and you do a roller and a narrative. You say,
Right.
my client says this
And
about
so,
it.
just so that this is so beneficial to you, so are we getting 3 reviews for the price of 1? Or
Pretty
are we getting
much.
qualitatively even a better?
You're going to
Okay.
get qualitatively more in addition to that. Plus, you will own your own reviews. That is huge. Because you can't go to Yext and say, hey, this guy, this dude was drunk at 4 in the morning and he was pissed off at his girlfriend and he jumped on his phone and started talking about us. What do? You can't do anything unless you own it. Now you can go in there and you can edit it or modify it or remove it or reply to it and make it better. Like you were saying yesterday, that was so beautiful what you said. Sometimes it's better to have a bad review so you can actually go out there and reply to the person and then they see how you work. So yeah, this guy was mad, but hey, reach out to us and we'll see if we can make this right or whatever. I want to elaborate on something real quick here. For basically any page on or any topic, any whatever, what we really want to do, what we do as SEOs, is we try to associate as much content and substance to whatever this topic is that you're talking about. One way that you do that is, again, like if you have PDF resources or images. Anything that you can add to this, links to reviews, anything you can add to that is going to definitely help you. So when you write a review, you can also link out. You can link out to other reviews.
Can you explain that?
Yes. So let's say that I am looking at this. Let's say hypothetically this is a web page. It has a review on there. It's from Mr. Happy Client, right? And let's say that this is the review. So I can say, here's a PDF that links. Here's a PDF for this review. Of course, you would have the image, and hopefully that's going to be in your sitemap also. Make sure you use a good naming convention, like review dash might see, whatever. You always use a real name. Do not do this. I know that's been fixed. Yeah, but I actually use this on purpose to show that because I see this a lot. And then what happens, since you don't have the name of a real client on there, about 3 or 4 weeks later, all of a sudden, poof, it's gone. It doesn't show up anymore, and you lost your stars and everything. It's against the best Google's guidelines, right? You have to use
some
the
of
real
them
name.
have stayed, I will say. Like some of them have stayed up and put like reviews for happy clients.
Yeah.
But if you use first name last name, fill that
Yeah, that's
Reviews filter out, guys. It's part of the game. Part of it.
That's right.
Everybody has to understand that.
What? Another thing that I really wanted to touch on here was two things: page structure and site hierarchy. Unfortunately, it's going to be very hard for me to explain site hierarchy. If I had a whiteboard, I could do this much better, but I'm going to just talk about it real quick. But let me start with, first of all, is there any questions about the schema and and markup and that type of stuff at this point? There's so much out there. It's such a broad field. I mean, you can mark up everything from people to web pages to everything. Okay. So anyway,
John, can you mark up too much schema with that if you're unnatural to the search engines?
I haven't actually seen that myself. Usually, if you're taking the time to mark something up, it's usually useful, or else you wouldn't have spent the money on getting it done, or it's the time doing it yourself. So I haven't really seen that yet, but they're cracking down on markup.
Mm-hmm.
So I would only mark up important. I would mark up everything you can that is important on your site, especially your locations. I'm going to show you something after this, because you're going to die when you see how much impact it has on your locations. Now, okay, so is there any other questions? Okay, so page structure. I'm going to run through this kind of quickly just to respect everybody's time. But this is just as important as markup is. And it's actually more important because this is how you go after long-tail keywords on your specific pages. And it also lends to internal linking for site hierarchies. So, and when I say site hierarchy, I'm talking about siloing of your site, and not just by internal linking, but I'm talking about by URL structures also. So if I have / auto accidents, all my auto accident stuff, well, most of my auto accident stuff should fall under that. And typically we try to use static pages for important stuff and blog posts to support those if possible. You can see in this case here, and again, you have to forgive me for not using an attorney's website for this, but it's common. One thing that WordPress is absolutely horrible about is using global header tags in your source code. So everything on your right sidebar, is usually H4s and H5s and H3s, and half the time that means that it's completely off topic of what is on the actual page itself. So if your H1 is auto accidents, well, hopefully your H2 is going to be like what we were talking about: rollovers, rear end collisions, front head-ons, or whatever it happens to be. So you would want those H2s to fall in line in contextually for your H1, so they should support your H1. In this case, you can see where they have an H6, but no H5. So this just destroyed the actual architecture of this page. This is a bad example. Usually we see 2 H1s and no H2s and then 42 H4s, because these are all usually global in the footer or the right sidebar or something like that. Now, you can put tags in there if you're using HTML5 that says aside, so Google kind of ignores it, but I wouldn't take that chance, and I would make sure that your pages are structured correctly. So what we typically do is we have your H1 as your primary keyword, use it in there. So if it's auto accident or car accident lawyer, Las Vegas, that would be your H1. And then everything about that would fall in your H2s. And this is truly how you go after long-tail keywords. So on this page, I see that title, little text underneath it. The first H1, if it was rollovers, I would see a block of text with maybe an image, just bullet points, and italic and bold text there, and linking out to my rollover page. There's a block of content that's optimized, and then it links out to the subpage that supports this. Does that make sense? I think we went over this earlier, but if it wasn't clear, is that clear to everybody? It sounds simple, but it's not. I mean, it is simple if you do it right. That kind of concludes what I had written on the screen, but I wish I had a whiteboard, because the biggest problem that I see with almost every site out there is the overall hierarchy of the site and siloing. And I know that you were going to speak on that. And I don't want
I think
to
we'll tag team it. So me and Joe will both talk.
Yeah.
I know Mike has some thoughts on that too.
Yeah,
There's some different theories on it.
I wanted Chris and you both to sort of banter back and forth
Yeah.
on this one.
I think it would be good because there's a lot of theorizing on different ways to do it.
That's great. But I can tell you that a good screaming frog crawl, import it and export it to Excel, and then filter down is going to tell you where you're at. I mean, it takes the guesswork out of it. So there's a difference between thinking it might be like this and thinking you're internal, and then when it actually is.
What would you charge one of us to do a screening frog crawl and send us the data?
And break down the hierarchy.
Send us the data, break it down.
Screaming Frog's only like $50.
Yeah, but all I'm saying is for you to do it and break it down for us.
Okay, that kind of depends on the site. If it's a 300-page website, probably have it done in a couple hours, a few hours, maybe 3 hours. If it's a 5,000 or 15,000-page website, you're talking maybe a little bit more time. So it's really hard to put a number on there. But in general, most tiny websites, in general, yeah, 600 to 1,000 pages. So you're probably talking maybe 5 to 6 hours to really get it good. And to thoroughly strategize what you should do, it'll probably be another 8 hours. But you will know exactly what you need. And you're going to eliminate competing pages. You're going to eliminate competing silos. And orphan pages are going to go away, and everything's going to be moved around so that it really truly fits together. And when you are, and then going forward with that, with your hierarchy in place so you can actually see it. When you have your writer say, hey, let's post on, I don't know, gas explosions today or this week, then they know exactly what category to put it in if it's a blog post, or where that the page's parent will be if they're creating a static page. That makes sense. I have it in my head, but translating it to speaking sometimes a little bit different. So it's very important, every bit of it, and there's a lot of moving pieces, but this kind of ties it in. The markup is tied to your breadcrumbs and hierarchy and just the regular page structure. It's all related. I hear a lot of times that, SEO is random. No, it's not random. If you have a solid site and it has a good foundation, when Google makes updates, you can sleep at night because you know that we follow best practices. We have good content. I'm not just churning it out. That's the biggest mistake you can possibly make, is just churning content. I would highly recommend, and I do for the majority of clients, that quit putting this stuff out and focus on what you already have right now and clean that up before you go and put more on it. It's like having a store with gangrene and just piling Band-Aids on top of it. It's not really.
Let me throw something in there. Google looks at rewriting content, search content anyway. So it's just like adding new pages.
And Joe, how many, you look at a lot of potential sites, how many guys just throwing up content without cleaning up?
I would say, until about a year ago, all of them. Now only the savvy ones really catch.
Some guys are still on the age-old impression. So when you make a content, it's going to be indexed without even understanding.
Right. Yes, that's right. And Chris, you might feel back this up, but I've seen, so you have a post on rollover car accidents, and you have a page on rollover car accidents, and your post, let's say, has been out there for 2 years, and it's just sitting there, and might even rank, maybe 20 in search for that specific keyword. So after you modify it, it seems to me, based on the data that I see, that a modified post has about twice the weight of a new post because it has age, it has all kinds of stuff. They already have user behavior statistics on it. And when you modify it, what do they do? What I've noticed is Google will give it impressions, and it's going to, because it's trying to test user behavior metrics when people land on it to see if it still sucks or if they need to move it up a notch.
To what extent do you modify your data?
This is what you need to modify it to. And in order to really do Screaming Frog, but with a real true eye on it to help be able to identify. Like my doctor could give me an X-ray of my neck or whatever, and I would just see it as an X-ray. But it does me no good whatsoever because I'm not a doctor. But when they look at it, they can say, okay, he has a bone spur on his fifth vertebrae and whatever, and then they can diagnose it. So just having Screaming Frog is a great tool, but it's only a tool.
If you can send us an analysis, and of course you'll give us a circle with the rest, that's great.
Yeah, of course. 90% of what I do half the time is for free anyway. My business partners hate me. No, they don't hate me, but I give away the farm.
It's not free if you get referrals.
Yeah, but it helps people. It's good enough for me.
Better sales
So anyway, that's the end of my spiel here, and I would love to do a hangout on two topics. One on page structure and one on hierarchy. And if we do one on hierarchy, I'm going to show people.
Let's try it. Let's do it.
Okay.
I think hierarchy, the one Saturday, is going to be fun because there's a lot of different ways to do it.
Yeah.
Because even subdomains versus on the roof.
Yeah. We'll do like a round.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll schedule one and send it out.
David,
I don't get any notice.
the other thing that he
I
mentioned,
always notice you just gotta check. Everybody else gets them except for you.
those old pages that you're updating, that already have the authority in their age. Whenever you do create new content, those are the first pages you should go to and link to the new one.
That's exactly right.
Because that link equity will go to the new page and help it with indexing.
Yeah, in addition to that,
What extent do you I don't know if have him analyze the Screaming Frog and some of
That's not-
well,
he's asking
well, the
general
actual
questions.
page
General
itself,
questions. Way too general. The question.
it really needs to be modified enough so that Google knows it's been modified. You know what? You can change one word and Google's going to know it's modified, but there's a little piece. And what I notice a lot of times on websites, especially WordPress, is that the last modified date, if you look at view source, is always today. No, this page was not modified today. Neither was the other 5,000 on your site. So make sure your last modified date in your header, or in the meta, is the real last modified date, and make sure the created date is the real created date. Because if you don't, what's going to happen is you'll go back and you'll modify one of your pages, but Google can't tell it's been modified because every page on your whole site looks like it's been modified according to the last modified date. That's also a big problem in sitemaps. So,
Alternatively, what if we just added 5 fresh comments?
As long as those comments are really truly in the page and it's not like an iframe or something of that sort, yeah.
Just changing, adding a paragraph. Does it have to be structural or content?
Anything you do is going to show it as modified, but do you want to just modify it to have it modified, or do you want to modify it to have it ranked?
No,
that's
it's
the
not
question.
So that brings a question
Obviously,
too.
he wants to get it right.
Yes. So yes, if you're going to modify it, take the time to do it right and try to understand what page structure really is and how Google uses it. Because this is the same thing. This is the hierarchy of a page instead of the hierarchy of your site. And these header tags right here are the SEO title, the thing that shows up at the top of your tabs that you can't really see unless you mouse over it. SEO title, your meta description, and your H1 tags are critical. And your H2 tags are where you should be going after your long tail keywords and make sure in the content underneath that H2 tag that you link out to a supporting page on your site that is actually in the same silo.
So Wilshire is instituting H1 of H3. You're suggesting H3 is not properly used better.
Wait.
H1 and H3. And all those pages.
And they're skipping
everyone
H2s?
has.
You know what, I believe
Destroying everybody. And you
Well-
probably don't use H3, it's too many H3.
But their markup is messed up. Their page structures are messed up. I just firmly believe it is from a link authority.
Yeah, but I've got way better backwards than I do. Smoking,
Yeah,
Forbes, HuffPost, you name it.
I
It
mean,
doesn't even come close.
they have serious
It's only one
issues.
aspect.
Well, he's saying their links are everything, and that's why they're
They're not.
so.
Well, I don't know if they're everything on there, but
He's saying
sure
that
it's
it overrides all the problems on his pages. Obviously, it's maybe number one.
if they made these changes, they would rule the world. So thank God that they have problems on their site because we'd all be struggling to keep up.
So all they are now, and they have problems.
Right. But if you look at their site, though, they have everything marked up. They have errors here and there, but at least they've done it. In addition to that, they actually do have a very good hire of the site.
Yeah.
The website, not their pages.
So
Yes.
it's nice.
And that's everything. And I'm telling you now, over the last few months, and it's at least since February, the site hierarchy is just becoming critically important.
They have a custom site map too, which is really awesome.
They do.
It breaks down geography, practice areas, not like the typical ones
Right.
created by Yoast, which is just a discombobulation of everything.
Yeah.
That
And, yeah,
must have
you're
an
right.
effect.
I'm sure it does.
That's a question kind of getting off topic. I was going this a little bit, but you touched on it earlier. You have location pages, so you have a location page which links to your 2 locations or 17 locations, depending on practice. On those, each of those individual location pages, so you've got one for Denver, one for Boulder, or
Right.
whatever. Do you have, what do you put on there? I mean, we have some clients who have really in-depth content on each of those location pages. And we have some clients who don't have in-depth content. They do have a map and the kind of basics, and they seem to do very well either way.
Right.
What's your recommendation?
I would go, there's a minimum amount of things that you should include on there, like your office hours, the actual physical address. I would, in the schema, we link out to the Google Maps for that location specifically. So you're probably towards that. There's a few other things,
Do you list all the practice areas in each of those location pages?
I haven't done that to this point, but I'm sure that you can, and you can actually list the attorneys at each one of those locations also with the person, the person type markup. And so, yeah, you can add a ton of stuff to those pages. But the base,
That's fine. It's they have like, essentially a mini website for each location.
that's right.
DC, you got all the DC practice areas in there. You got all the practice, and those are separate pages.
Right.
But Joe, is that a point of dimension in terms of some of the content?
No, for the locations, if you structure it correctly, so if you have slash locations, if you have it set up correctly, like you have slash locations, right?
Yeah.
If you land on that, it's just links to your locations.
Yeah.
If you click one of those, you land on a page, a
Yeah.
dedicated page
To that location.
to that location.
But my question is, what SAP does, would Google look at that? Is it too transparently trying to gain the location system by having so much content?
I don't want to, right. I don't want to, I don't want to speak too much about that specific instance, but I believe the way that came about was that they had migrated subdomains into there, and that was
They
the
have the
best way.
individual lawyers, I know.
Right. But there's problems that are inherent in that type of structure. So I mean, I wouldn't recommend going that route unless you really know what you're doing. And even in that case, I probably still.
It's hard to, I'm very sensitive.
Yes. And I'm not kind of, I'm not. They did very well with what they kind of wanted.
You don't have like multiple H2, like H1, H2, like 3 or 4 H3.
Oh yeah, yeah. Just make sure that if you have an H1 and then you have your H2, right?
Yeah.
Make sure those H3s fall underneath an H2. So if you use an H3, make sure that it falls underneath an H2. Don't leave gaps.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And honestly, I can't see much of a reason to really go past the H4 with pretty much anything. I mean, maybe you have a different opinion or something. But usually, if you're going to H4, you're like really deep in there. I can see how you would get to an H4 if you're working on a document for some legal thing that you're working on. Because you got, how you section off your stuff. So follow the same format that you would follow if you're writing a legal document or you're reading a legal document. Consider your web page like a Word document. Header, subsection. That's what Google wants to see. That's it. Any other questions?
I had a question for you. For the WordPress-based sites, are you using the core base comment system, or do you recommend a specific plugin? Are you using Discus, or is that iframe?
That's not really my strong point, so I can't really answer that.
I was using the Google. I mean, that's iframe though, so that doesn't really pull it.
Yeah, iframes don't do it. So basically, what we've done is just having built a little case in the back end.
Just gonna go ahead and stop the broadcast.
And then